Hello, your friends. Welcome to another session of Twinmotion training. I'm Sajid Muntaziri, and let's get started. In this educational session, we want to work together on the remaining options in the top bar of the software. The first option, as I mentioned, activates the Path Tracer rendering mode in the scene. Its keyboard shortcut is R. If I press R, it starts rendering, and in this mode, it can show you your progress. There is a small circle next to it. If you click it, you can choose the render quality, low, medium, or high. Whichever one you choose, it shows an image resolution. Currently on my system, it's set to 256. The higher you want the render quality to be, the higher you can set this number, for example, to 512. Or if you decide you want to do some quick test renders, you can set lower numbers here. So the first and second options are related to Path Tracer mode, which I emphasize again, you can only use an RTX series graphic cards. The next option is the material picker. It is one of the most useful tool in Twinmotion. With the shortcut T, if you press T and click on any object, its material settings will be displayed on the right side, as you can see it. If properties is not on, you cannot see this bar. You can make your desired changes. For example, I increase the grunge here. Let me deactivate Path Tracer so we can see the result faster. I can increase or decrease the grunge in this material, and you can see the effects on the right side and other options. We can change its UVs, which I will explain later. So the material picker option with the shortcut keys for cases where we want to change the material for an object. Now, when you select the material picker and click on the object, two options are added to its left. Note that if I go to the left panel into the object section and select one of the desired object there and place it in the scene, those left side options disappear. So sometimes a few buttons are added between the main options and the material picker, and we should talk about them. I place a cube here, and now I hit the material picker, which is T, and click on one of the objects. The first option, if I hover my mouse over it, you see it includes three choices: rule, replace material, apply to object, apply to selection. Hmm. Very briefly, to tell you the difference between these three, I need to assign two materials to these objects. For this, I'll go into the material section. For example, in the mood section, I click and drag. We can very easily assign materials to object via click and drag. I've gave just one material to that object. Now, if I press T, clicking here selects the right material box, and clicking here selects the left material box. Now imagine I come and give a similar material to both of them. I give this material to this one and this material to this one. Now their materials are identical. If I assign another material to this one, you see they are working separately. The material of this one has no effect on the material of that one. But if in this state I select apply to selection, and for example I select this object and apply this material to it, the same thing happened here. Now, once again, I'll change this and click again here. So you don't necessarily need to release your click on this object. You just bringing it into the scene applies it. Pay attention to this. I'll go back to this option and set it to apply to object. Again, I click and drag. Nothing happens here. You must bring your mouse over the object. Once again, if I click this and select this object and put it on apply to selection mode, now if you click and drag wherever you are in the scene, it applies this material to whatever you have selected. If I click here and set it to apply to object and click and drag, it doesn't care whatever I selected, whatever I release my mouse over, it applies the material to that. Once again, I click this. Replace material causes whatever you select and drag to replace the material of the object, swapping it with the previous state here. And the next option is a UV mapping. We have cube UV, cylindrical UV, spherical UV, and from object UV. This relates to UV mapping or how the texture sits on the object. We also have these options in the UV settings of the material itself. If I zoom in here on this part, the arrangement of this wood we created is like this. Since it's on from object, I can set it to word space, and the way the material sits changes, and this is local space. Now if I use different objects, well, for example, this object is inherently a box. Therefore, for the material to sit better on the object, I can use the material picker to select it and help it by saying the nature of this object is a cube, for example. If I go into objects, for example, place a cylinder in the scene like this. Now I'll select the material and apply it to it. I'll go to the material section again and apply a wood with a texture. And for example, like this one, here I must help it myself and say this shape was a cylinder, because sometimes in the top section, it might not have been able to detect it correctly and sit the material properly on the model. So I select cylindrical, and this causes the select the object to be UV mapped correctly. Consequently, if you have a sphere, you should set this mode to a spherical. If you have performed UV operation in another software, you can select the form from object UV, sorry, and so that covers the settings and explanation related to these two options. The option after the material picker, if activated or deactivated, shows you a series of options on the right side. If I activate it on the right side, we can have the gravity options. Hmm. The gravity option is one of the very creative option we can have in this software. For this, let me delete the object I created like this. I select this one and hit delete. In the media section, I go into scene camera here. Soon I want to place a series of pebbles on this software. To do this, I'll go into my objects section. I can go into the vegetation section and select an object like a rock. I'll place a series of pebbles like this here. And now I'm going to duplicate them on top of each other and tell Twinmotion to drop them on top of each other. To do this, I select one of them. First, I hit escape to exit the object placement mode. Now I select one, hold down shift key and do that. A copy window opens for me. For now, I won't talk about the difference between copy and instance. Here I specify the number of rocks. For example, I say 25 copies should be made, and I accept the distance of 0.37 meters. And you see it copied that number of rock objects on top of each other while they are still selected. I can hit the gravity button. This causes these rocks objects to fall randomly under the influence of gravity, as you can see. And we can achieve a much more realistic state of scattering for these objects. Thank you so much. I will explain the rest of the options in the next session. Take care of yourself, practice a lot, and goodbye.